Hey, Mrparka here to review a new one, or a newer one, The Hospital 2. Yeah, it has actually been a while since I saw the first Hospital, and I actually didn't remember it very much. So putting this in, there's a little recap in the beginning, which helped. The Hospital came out a few years ago. It had like Jim O'Rear and Jason Crow in it, and a bunch of other people. It was probably like one of the rapiest, most rape-filled movies I've ever seen. So it's like, and it also had these weird elements of comedy or kind of dark humor. And I remember some really awful CGI effects and Stanley, who was the main killer in the film. So yeah, I remembered a little bit here and there, and I was really kind of iffy on the film. I'm not sure how I didn't really particularly like it, but I could tell that it was made for a certain audience. The Hospital 2, it's pretty much more the same. The first Hospital, essentially we have a couple of surviving killers, Stanley and Jim O'Rear's character. I can't remember his name. They have survived, and they have taken kind of a refuge in this a battered woman's home, and they're making snuff films from there and sending them out via the internet, and collecting revenue like that. Jim O'Rear is joined by his daughter, and Stanley starts to dig into the past and realizes there's a couple surviving people from the first slaughter they had, and he targets them, which kind of screws up the whole ordeal and puts their whole snuff ring in jeopardy. So that's basically the plot of The Hospital 2. Doesn't really take place in a hospital, but that's forgivable, obviously. What I did enjoy about the movie is the opening music in there sounds a lot like Rick Wakeman's kind of main theme to the film The Burning, which I actually love, and the music sounded really cool here. The acting in here, some of it's pretty good, I think some of it's pretty bad, but Debbie Rochon pops in, and Jim O'Rear holds his own pretty well actually in here. He's actually a despicable human being in it, and that's what I think he's going for, so he does a pretty good job. So the acting ranges, some are good, some are bad. A lot of independent movies are like that. That's pretty much what I enjoyed in the film. The movie's very melodramatic for this kind of a kind of gory, kind of like a rapey film. It has these melodramatic elements into it, and it also has these characters that seem like they're almost from different movies. Very comedic characters in there that just kind of pop in, and their scenes really don't fit with the tone of the movie. There's some weird tonal shifts in here that the movie is kind of dark and sometimes melodramatic at times, and then sometimes goofy, but always rapey. So you're just like, man, this is kind of a tough mixture to take in there. You're not sure how to take it, and it just kind of was off-putting for me. Like I said, like even Debbie Rochon's character is a little silly in the movie, and her husband. So it's kind of strange. Like I said, there's some police officers in here that do some goofy things, some cooks and whatnot. There's a lot of blood and a lot of action happening in the movie, but it's mostly just kind of blood splatter. There is some CGI splatter in here as well when gunshots go off. I didn't particularly think that looked very great. Sometimes it's an afterthought. Sometimes they think that they have it all set up and good to go, and then it doesn't really necessarily work in the film, and they go back and put CGI in there. I think that's what it might have happen here. Marcus Cook does the effects, and along with some other people, so you know that what's in here is going to look pretty solid as far as practical effects are concerned. Towards the end, it doesn't seem like there is many effects actually used. They seem to kind of went against the effects. You see like an eye gouge, and mostly it's just blood and stuff like that. So I don't know if the effects budget ran out, because it is a long movie. The movie's almost 2 hours long for an independent movie. Most of the time, I'm going to say most of the time. Sometimes you can get away with it, but most of the time, I feel that an independent movie should run about an 80-minute mark. But you should never put a set time on your movie, but most of the time a movie that runs over 90 minutes in an independent movie wears out its welcome pretty damn fast. That's just opinions again. This whole thing's just a damn opinion. But regardless, like I said, it totally, I'm not sure how I felt about the movie. Acting is iffy. Like I said, Debbie Rochon and Jim O'Rear are probably the highlights in the movie. And they bring back a couple of the cast members, which I thought was cool, from the original who survived. And their performances are pretty solid as well. There's a fair amount of nudity in here, but it's a lot of like rape-induced nudity, so it's kind of disturbing stuff, which is what they're going for. There was a book that I read a long time ago. It was a pretty graphic horror book about this guy running a snuff ring and rape and whatnot, and they had this clown scene in there where he dresses everybody like a clown. And I don't know if it's inspired from that book, or it was just their own idea, but there's a clown kind of a different scenario in here. They like to spice up their snuff film videos with that kind of stuff. But yeah, they carry on the song from the previous, and Scott Tepperman's in it for the Ghost Hunter. He also is a character that's very comedic and seems out of place, which is kind of bizarre. Again, tonally, kind of mess. really long. I noticed that some of the B camera it tends to be in different light balance at times. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe that's just me being nitpicky, or maybe it was just 1 or 2 shots, but it seems to be different colors, so when they switch angles it seems to change completely at times. It does have a blooper reel and making of. It had a bunch of features on here. I remember watching the video diary, and they seem like they're having a good time, and they seem like they're doing a good job. They have a lot of lights, and there is some decent camera work in here as well, which I thought was kind of cool. But in the film does have a finale in the hospital. So yeah, again, it's not really my thing. Just as similar to the first hospital. I had problems with like the tone and kind of the script, and there's a scene in here that almost every horror movie has a scene like this, I'm going to be honest, where a character pulls a gun and gets really close to the person that they're trying to scare or trying to get down. I'm not scared, but kind of get captive, and they get really close, and of course something happens with the gun, and then seconds later they turn around and just shoot into the dark when they assume after that, and it's like that doesn't really. Not consistent with the character, but this is the hospital too. Has pretty good features on there, and they filmed in a great location. Like the house is really cool and big, and it's like an old plantation house, and it's a great location, and everything else is mixed for me. Definitely mixed movie. That's the hospital too. I'm Mrparka. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
These are those 2 bitches from 5 years ago, the ones that got away.
I found her.
Bitch, I will put a bullet in you and fuck the hole. Do not test me.
Open your fucking mouth, bitch!
I remember you from before.
We're coming to get you, Beth.
What did you do? She was mine!